Are you hungry? It is one of the most basic questions of life. One of the first things we learn to communicate with our parents about. In fact, when, how, and what we eat makes up a good portion of our waking lives. It defines our days and nights, and all of our social functions. It is the foundation upon which not just our lives, but civilization itself is built. In any major city, you can walk a few miles and taste food from around the world year-round. Harvested a few days before. We eat better than the Roman and Chinese emperors. We live in a time of such astounding abundance that we hardly even notice it. A stark fact is that there are more people alive today than have ever lived, and we are feeding more people today than the sum total of history. We live at the pinnacle of a food production system that has been refined and perfected for thousands and thousands of years. A farming and delivery system that has computer accuracy at delivering exactly what we want and when and where we want it. And yet, this system, as efficiently as it's been progressed over the last 11,000 years, represents one of the greatest dangers and threats to humanity's continued existence. Our world is a spaceship, hurtling through the cosmos at unimaginable speed. Its passengers, all the flora, fauna, animals, and insects of the world. Its primary operating crew, the human race. And while we have managed to extract a marvelous bounty from our ship, we approach a crisis in its operation. 5 years ago, while working for a family office doing trends research, I came across a report by the Club of Rome. This report predicted that around 2030, because of population growth, traditional farming methods would no longer be able to sustain the world population, and the ensuing food collapse could trigger a collapse of civilization itself. I set out to disprove this hypothesis, but the more I researched, the more alarmed I became about the facts that I found. The way that we're producing food now is completely unsustainable. It's wrecking the earth. It's causing huge dead zones in the ocean by nitrogen runoff. We're running out of arable land. We're draining the world's aquifers. And when you look at all of the projections over how food production couples with population growth, within the next generation, we physically will not have enough land to continue to operate as we have. To conceptualize this, for us to continue growing food the way we have, we would need another 1 billion hectares of land, arable land, to become available. That's a land mass the size of Canada. It simply doesn't exist. The next major issue that we're dealing with is the fact that our food security is completely unrealistic. The World Food Delivery System is coined the just-in-time delivery system. It has been designed to deliver what is needed, when it is needed, and no more. While this is supremely cost-effective and efficient to cut waste, it creates a situation where any disruption to the supply chain can have the end result that it could be days or weeks, sometimes even months, before supply returns to normal. When you see a natural disaster occur, this is the reason why empty shelves take so long to restock. Because when panic hits and people go to the stores to stock up on goods, the supply chain cannot handle the demand and collapses. Katrina, Harvey, Bermuda, Puerto Rico. The names of the storms or the locations of the disasters left in their wake have been writ large across the consciousness of the world, and yet nothing changes. These two fundamental facts threaten the world itself, and the modern way of life we have all become accustomed to and enjoy. Yet it is merely a question of when, not if, we as a species will be forced to address them, and every day that moment draws closer. This is the purpose of Eden, to answer those questions. How do we supply a solution to both of these problems? How do you create a food production system that addresses the issue of sustainable use of resources while also providing food security? Our solution: a modular farming system designed to produce more energy than it uses, produce its own water, and recycles all of its own waste. A plug-and-play system that is fully operational, requires no previous experience in farming, and that can feed a family of 4. A scalable system that requires no arable land, can be placed in a desert, parking lot, toxic waste dump, or the surface of another world and provide organic produce of any variety year-round without herbicides, pesticides, or fertilizers. This is the Genesis system. When we first designed our modular farms, also known as HABs and life pods, our first goal was to create the ultimate farming survival system. We were asking the question, how do you make a modular farming system that can be energy positive and as efficient as possible so that anyone using it could live off of it, or even out of it? What amazed us, however, was the more research we did and the more we developed the system, we soon discovered that because we were asking these questions, not only had we created the ultimate survival system, we had created the most efficient farming system ever developed. And because of this breakthrough in human and electrical energy, we had created the most economical farming system ever developed for mass production. You want a farming system that can operate efficiently in any environment? A farming system that can produce what an entire plantation of land can, and be operated by a single human? The Genesis system is the answer. You want a system where any profile of fruits or vegetables can be grown at the source and year-round, without the need of transporting the end product halfway around the world? We can do it. The exact same problems that confront us in the great beyond face us here at home. How do we effectively manage our resources so that we can survive and thrive? This is the challenge of our time. And how we answer this question will define not just our future, but the future of unnamed and unborn billions, and the very fate of humanity. Will the future be the vast gardens it can be, where our food is supplied as a bounty the whole of humanity can enjoy without want, without destroying the very nature that sustains us? Will it be a free and open world where these gifts are shared among mankind? Or will we ignore our responsibilities to ourselves and the planet? Will the future be a dark dystopia where the Amazons and Walmarts of the world control every aspect of our food, where we abandon our mandate to the earth and allow mega food monopolies and distribution networks to control and dominate the very foundation of civilization?
Essentially, what I like to close with is that there's 2 quotes. One is a term from biology called delta, which is that an organism cannot change until the pain of change becomes less than the pain of staying the same. And the other is a Japanese quote, which is, you can rush towards destiny or you can be trampled by fate. How we answer this question of how we create our food and how we treat our biosphere will determine the fate of humanity, not just here on Earth, but in the great expanse of the great beyond.
Join me, and let's create Eden together.